Welcome to Qatar, where the growing season is starting. The date is the 4th of November 2023. I'm just looking at those trees there. Those trees, the common name incidentally is buttonwood. They're very fast growing trees, and I was talking to a raging horticulturalist recently, and he was telling me that those trees have been banned in Qatar. So let's just have a look and see why they might be banned in Qatar. You can see these trees are very strong, and if you look at the root bases, they're highly capable of destroying infrastructure. The roots are incredibly tenacious and aggressive. Trees like this shouldn't be planted next to buildings, and the design of those soil boxes, if they're even boxes, is too small. These trees are quite young, to be honest. I can tell just by the structure of the canopy, although it has been altered. And that's another thing here. These trees are banned from being planted in the ground, but you can still buy them to plant in pots. But they're managing, or trying to manage, the current trees that they have on the streets here, these buttonwoods. And if you look at the foliage mass, it's not really that much foliage mass, considering they're so aggressive and can grow so aggressively. So what sort of techniques are they using for management? Well, one of them is to simply remove these trees, and they are progressively removing them. But the existing trees, what they do is a pruning technique called lion's maning. That's the common name for it. And it's a very simple pruning technique that can be done by most people, dare I say, idiots. What they do is they remove the bottom branches, practically all of the bottom branches, which only leaves the top. And one of the problems with this pruning technique, especially if you have a tree that has an incredibly aggressive root system, we're talking these roots can grow feet per year, if not more. Because if you look at the foliage, 2 to 3 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet per year, depending on the soil quality and the weather conditions. And the weather conditions, I mean, that's nothing, by the way, 5 feet. The weather conditions here are incredibly harsh. These are very, very strong trees. They're not like most trees, put it that way. They're used in areas and in fields where strong trees are required, fast-growing trees are required. Horticultural fields, such as bonsai, they're used a lot because they grow like hell. So what does this pruning technique do, and why is it so bad? Well, trees with very, very strong roots like these basically move around. They move around in storms like all trees. But during a storm, the roots are stimulated, so those roots start to grow. And these trees, because they're so top-heavy, that movement is increased. And the top-heavy nature makes them very susceptible to storm damage. And it makes them taller. Because if you remove foliage, the tree, axiomatically, has enough roots to support the foliage mass. So if you remove some foliage mass, those roots have still got the resources to support more. And with these trees, literally, you can cut back that foliage 1 year, and it will be back within 6 months of the winter, when it is now, to the same as it was when you cut it 6 months ago. Probably even taller or higher or larger mass. So these trees become top heavy and incredibly dangerous. And of course, when they become dangerous, there's an excuse to cut them down. So what will happen to these trees? probably within the next 10 years or so, they'll all be removed. But they don't have to be removed if you use the proper pruning techniques. And I'm quite surprised that they don't have people here, because Qatar is an inspiring place and they import a lot of good people, professional people, certified people, chartered people, executives, technical assistants, capable of looking at these trees. Incidentally, the landlord across the road in that particular villa there, she's had a few years in that position, and within the last 5 years, she was living in the house before as a tenant. She's seen the council have to be called to rebuild walls, and the walls there are the same as the walls here. Absolutely solid reinforced concrete, and the rebar inside is not cut down like it is in some places in the West. It's a good thickness. But these trees can get through those walls. They can get through this monoblock. They get into the drain systems. They had to dig up the road here twice within the last 5 years. And remove tree roots the thickness of your fist, and they would have just got thicker and thicker. So the council can continue doing this, and their targets here are very good. In their own mind, they know what they want. The problem is they don't have the people here, and they don't really respect trees, which is a normal thing, I guess. But my argument would be is these trees are old trees. They're valuable trees. They bring value to people that's quantifiable, but they don't quantify it here. It's quantifiable as a amenity resource. In the West, there's some very good research going on at Cornell University in New York State area, the Adirondack Mountains, on how valuable trees are. The carbon capture side, it's not that good, to be honest, unless you've got loads of trees. But we're talking about cities here, not forests. And in a city, street trees increase morale, which is difficult to quantify. But these are good trees. They're strong trees. They're built for this environment. They're almost endemic. And they're worth keeping. But they won't be kept because of this pruning technique and the management technique. And then they say you can cut these trees down and everything will be fine. You can plant another tree. But how long is it going to take to get a tree as beautiful as this and as fast growing? It's going to take decades. And here, people want instant trees. So they plant large trees and the root system's not that developed, and the tree ends up dying a lot of the time. Their losses are far greater than if they were to plant smaller whips that could develop their root systems and get into the environment and really get used to the environment and start modifying the soil that the tree is planted in, because trees modify the soil depending what they like and what they need and what they want. So it's all very well saying you can plant trees, but if you have the wrong plan, then things start to go wrong. And because trees grow so slowly, most people don't even see this.